lounge where there's Kool-Aid in the water fountains and the ice cream always tastes like Skittles. If you're joining us live today, you can leave a comment for myself or our guest in the comment section below, and I will try to get them throughout the show. Joining us now is our guest. He is a realtor, a businessman, and a lip sync battle extraordinaire. Please welcome to Split Screen, Mr. Scott Connors. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Nick, how's it going? You forgot to mention my recent stint on Dancing with the Ohio Valley Stars, so let's.
You did Dancing with the Boy. You did the lip sync battle and Dancing with the Ohio Valley Stars.
I did, yes. I think once they find out you're fearless on stage, you get called for this kind of stuff. I didn't win that either.
I don't mean to bring anything up that you don't want to talk about, but how did you fare in either of those competitions?
So the lip sync challenge, I beat my sister, which is really all I cared about in the first round.
That's the big one.
Yeah, and I lost in the second round, but I've been demanding a recount for a year and a half. They haven't done it yet, so we'll see.
Hey, maybe they'll get around to it. Now, what about Dancing with the Ohio Valley Stars? How'd you do there?
I was first runner-up, and I'll take that all day long because going into that, I was terrified. I love to tell the story. I've been on stage in one way or another most of my life. I've never been so scared to walk out on a stage as I was at the Capitol Music Hall that night. It was terrifying.
I feel the same way. I did Dancing with the Ohio Valley Stars probably 4 years ago. I did it, and you fared better than I did. I didn't come first runner-up anywhere near it, but I too have been on stage the majority of my career, and it was a nerve-wracking thing to have to go out and dance.
I'm telling you, I was terrified. So, but I'll take second place in that.
I will say Dancing with the Ohio Valley Stars was one of the most fun things that I've done in my media career. 100%, it was a blast.
The exact same way. I walked off and I said I would do this again tomorrow if they let me. It was so
absolutely.
So yeah,
absolutely. So anyway, we're not here to talk about dancing or how good any of us are at dancing because neither one of us, I'm going to assume, are really not all that great. We're here to talk about the real estate business. How are things going right now?
Things are good. It's obviously been an interesting time. We're working. We were lucky to be considered an essential business by both Ohio and West Virginia. So we're able to work, we're able to show houses. We've had closings. It's not quite business as normal. We're definitely slower than we would be at this time of year, but there's still work to do. Writing contracts, making offers, negotiating, showing, closing, the whole thing.
So right now is kind of a weird time. It's not necessarily a time that I think a lot of people are wanting to buy a house, or maybe they want to buy a house, or they're maybe a little nervous about buying a house right now. They're a little nervous about selling their house right now. It's kind of just an unsettling time for everybody. Walk me through the process of, say I am looking to upgrade or downgrade. I want to get a new house. I want to get into a new place, new town. What's the process like? How do I go about doing that right now?
So if you're a buyer, it's really not a lot different than it ever was. We always encourage people to get pre-approved with the lender before they get started. There are various reasons to do that. It just kind of makes you a more prepared buyer. That process is the same. There are a lot of stories out there about banks tightening up their requirements and it's getting harder to get a loan. I don't know if that's true. There are some situations where that has happened, but there are plenty of lenders out there that are still doing little or no money down loans. You don't have to have a perfect credit score. There's money out there to be had. So the first step is there's financing in place. Contact an agent. We always recommend you choose a good buyer's agent to help you out through the process. And we take you around. We show you houses. Help you find the right one. It's
No. Go ahead.
No, as I say, it's just not much different than it ever has been, other than just kind of some hesitancy in the market. That's probably the main thing that has changed a little bit.
Are you kind of expecting that hesitancy to reach a point when things start to open back up? Are you expecting to see a lot of movement in buying and selling after all of this kind of settles down a little bit?
Absolutely. I am absolutely convinced that once everything comes back to normal, that all the people out there right now that would like to buy a house, that need to buy a house or need to sell a house are going to flood the market. We are still busy. Numbers are down, but there are people out there that are on the sidelines with good reason. And once everything feels normal again and everyone's back to work, I believe the second half of this year is going to be as busy as we've been in my career.
Now, what about with everything going on? There's a lot of talk about interest rates lowering, interest rates becoming lower than they've ever been before. There's talk about the ability to be approved for a loan being a lot easier. The restrictions are a lot lower. What do you know about that?
So in some cases, it's harder right at this moment to get a loan. There were some lending standards that tightened up. However, again, as I mentioned, there are still lenders out there doing lower credit scores and lower down payment loans. My personal opinion is the market, when it comes back, I think we're going to see incentives coming from the government level, coming from the banks to get people comfortable to buy. It reminds me back in 2008 when the market crashed across the country, government put a program in that was really neat. It was if I remember correctly, it's been a while, but it was a $6,500 one-time grant that could be used. It was a tax credit technically, but if you bought a house at that time, government gave you $6,500 for your down payment that you didn't have to pay back. And you had to stay in the house a certain amount of time. I want to say it was like 3 or 5 years. But it was a tremendous program because it suddenly let people buy homes who couldn't have otherwise, let them get more favorable financing terms. And, we saw a lot of sales come around. I don't know if they're going to do something just like that, but there are a lot of things the government can do to make it easier for banks to lend money. And I expect they're going to do all that, honestly.
Let's talk about the website, clickharvey.com. This is kind of the hub in the Ohio Valley for Harvey Goodman Realtors. And this is where you can find a house. This is where you can find a home. If you're looking to sell, you're looking to buy. This is kind of the one-stop place where everything can happen, correct?
It is. We rolled out the new clickharvey.com a few months ago. And it does some really cool stuff. First of all, it's got listings from every agency, every brokerage. If it's for sale in the market, it's on our website. So it's a one-stop shop as far as that goes. We're showing our listings as well as everyone else's. You can set automatically or easily set automatic searches so that if you're looking for a home in a certain price range, a certain neighborhood, the website will let you know as soon as something new hits the market. Something we've done for years for our clients. But if you're just out there browsing, it's still a great way to keep track of what's out there. Had more than one client call me because they got an automatic email in the morning on a new house, a new listing that I hadn't even seen yet. And they're excited about it. They're the first ones in the door. So there's a big advantage there. We're also doing automated valuations. So if you're looking to sell your home, plug in your address, you get a full-blown report on what it's worth. Just all kinds of cool stuff. There are lending contacts there as well if you're looking to get pre-approved for a mortgage. Really a one-stop shop, clickharvey.com. We're really, really proud of it.
It's a great website, and just scrolling through it on my own today, it's extremely easy to use. You can find a lot of different results, and like you said, notifications and things like that as well are just fantastic. So clickharvey.com. Go ahead, Scott.
Like I say, one of the reasons we switched to a new provider for the website is the photography is fantastic. Big, beautiful pictures. You can go full screen, see slideshows, virtual tours, because we know that that's how people are browsing for a home, and we want to make that as easy as possible. So we're really, again, excited about just how much you can see right there on the website.
Now, what about somebody that's wanting to sell their house? What are some things that they should know? You mentioned photography. Sometimes I remember when I was in the housing or looking for a house a number of years, I've been in my house 10 years now, but before that, we spent a lot of time looking at different houses. And sometimes you see online pictures of people selling their own homes, and the pictures are just not that flattering. Where it might be a great house, there might be nothing wrong with it, but just that particular picture is not that great. What are some other things that people should keep in mind when they're trying to list?
So what I advise my clients when they're getting ready to list, when it comes to photography, staging is somewhat important. Mainly less is more is what we talk about. If you've got a kitchen countertop that you normally in your daily life have a toaster and some canisters and a microwave, coffee pot sitting on, we're going to have you take about 2/3 of that or more off that countertop. Make it really kind of sparse. You want it to be decorated, but clutter multiplies in pictures. I tell the story all the time. I put my house on the market a couple years ago, and my wife and I had cleaned for weeks, it seemed, getting ready for the pictures. And sure enough, I saw them, and I was horrified by how cluttered it looked. Really good. So I share that lesson with clients. You really do want less is more in photography. And also, we do a lot of things with angles and lighting. Honestly, a lot of our pictures are taken by professionals. We do drone footage. So that's stuff that the average person's not going to be able to do. But we guide them through that whole process. Our industry has changed. I've been at this 11 years. And so I really didn't live in this business before the internet. But I guess, back in the old days, they would publish the MLS books. The agents would get them on a Monday and call all their clients and talk about the houses they want to go show them. That's not the case anymore. Everyone's got all the apps. Everyone's seeing everything, again, usually before I do. So that first impression online is absolutely critical. You've got to get that right. If you don't get that right, you're not going to get showings. I always say the best call I get from a prospective buyer, they'll call about a particular listing and they'll say, so I love this house. My only question is, why is it so cheap? And that tells me that we got the photography right. because we made the right impression that's going to get them in the door. And that changes the dynamic too. When a buyer shows up at a house and they already think it's a good deal, it really changes their approach to it, what they're going to offer, how quickly they're going to offer. You know, when they say, well, we don't think it's going to last very long, we better move. That's when I know we did a good job for the sellers.
Here's a question that I always kind of wondered, never had a real good answer to it. I might not ask it all that well. So when you see a house for sale, you drive by, there's a sign in the yard, a house for sale. Could I call you about that house, or do I have to call the particular person that is on that sign? How does that work?
That's a great question, Nick. And I'd love to educate potential buyers on this, especially. So our entire area works under a multiple listing service. We are all, for the most part, we are all members of the National Association of Realtors. What that means is we all cooperate with one another. So if you're looking to buy a home and I'm your agent, I'm your buyer's agent, I can show you any home on the market. It doesn't matter who's got it listed, what sign's in the yard. And there are some variations on this, but for the most part, I'm working as your agent exclusively, where if you call the person on the sign, depending on, there's some variations across state lines, both Ohio and West Virginia, but you're either going to be working with someone who is representing the seller exclusively. So you're now coming in, seeing the home, making an offer, and talking to the seller's agent the entire time, or you're doing that process having someone represent you, which, by the way, doesn't cost you anything because we're paid out of the other commission. So the easiest way to explain it is have a buyer's agent. Find someone you like, someone you trust, work with them through the entire process. My days are spent showing homes to people. I would say 80% of the homes I show are not my listings, not Harvey Goodman listings. There's homes on the market. And so, and in my personal approach to that, by the way, I'm the least salesy salesman you'll ever meet. I pride myself on that. I'm not there to sell anyone a particular home. I'm here to see if it's a good fit for you. And if it's not, we're going to go to the next one. And we'll do that till we find the right one, and then I'll help you buy it. So it works.
Now, when you work with somebody that's looking to buy a home, you obviously get some information from them, what they're looking for, neighborhoods, that sort of thing. And I would imagine you maybe come up with 5 to 10 different places, different options, and kind of start to narrow things down that way.
Yeah, it's a back and forth. I will sometimes send a list of stuff that I think might work. Again, with all of the different apps and all the access to information these days, that's a lesser part of our job. Most people are,
right.
You know, if you're looking for a home, you're excited about it. You're on the app all day long. You're checking for that new stuff coming out. And again, you're going to see it and call me and say, hey, we want to go see this one. So we goes both ways. I will say to someone, hey, I know of a new listing coming that's not on the market yet. Or have you seen this brand new one that I think is a good fit? Other times I show a home to someone else and it doesn't work for that client, but I have in the back of my head another client I'm working with and it's a good fit for them. But yeah, let's say it's about 50-50 between whether I'm calling my client and saying, hey, let's go check out this home. It could be a good fit. Or they're calling me and saying, hey, we want to see that one down on Main Street because it looks perfect for us. So yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. Just backpedal a second. Tell me a little bit about Harvey Goodman as a company. Are you guys like obviously an association of realtors in the Ohio Valley, and you cover the majority of the Ohio Valley?
We do. I've been with Harvey Goodman for my entire career, which goes back a little over 11 years. The company has been in existence for over 60 years, and I can't say enough about how well it's run, how well they treat us. It's family owned, just the most wonderful people you'll meet. We have offices, I've lost track, I think we have 7 now. So St. Clairsville, Wheeling, Moundsville, Martins Ferry, Barnesville, Steubenville, and Weirton. I didn't count those, but it's somewhere around 7 or 8.
I was trying to count. I think that's 7.
Yeah, something like that. We cover the entire Ohio Valley. Oh, we have Caddis. We just opened in Caddis too. Sorry, I missed one.
Okay.
So we cover basically the entire Ohio Valley. Belmont, Ohio, Marshall, Brooke, Hancock, Harrison, Jefferson, Monroe. What I consider the Ohio Valley. Basically Channel 7's view is probably a fair assessment.
Right.
We have somewhere around 60 agents, I think, at the moment, all working out of different offices. And so yeah, we have a large footprint, by far the largest footprint of any brokerage in the Valley. It's interesting in our market, there are no or very few national brokerages. We don't have a RE/MAX or a Century 21 or Keller Williams or any of the big names you see in other markets. It's really a collection of small independents, and we're by far the largest of the small independents.
Okay. We have a question from the audience. Would you be willing to take one?
Absolutely.
A question from your favorite. A question from your friendly neighborhood Mikey regarding ClickHarvey.com. Do you have to register on ClickHarvey.com to see all the home photos?
No, you do not.
Nice.
You get some benefits by doing that. You'll get a little more information and some of the automated stuff that way. But no, we do not require registration to see photos.
That's always kind of annoying when you get onto a website and they're like, you can't see the pictures till you send us your email.
Yeah, we know. And
I don't like that.
We don't like it either. There is some value to that in certain situations. There has been.
Well, yeah, if you take the next step and you go, oh, yes, I would like to have all of these extra benefit things, then it's fine. As long as I'm the one making the decision.
We agree. We agree. That's how we're set up.
All right, clickharvey.com. Again, it's scrolling down at the bottom. If you're watching right now, you want to check out a house, you're looking to sell a house, click on clickharvey.com. Scott Connors, anything else you want to get into today? We still got some time.
I see Mikey's comment. Well, what else? I could talk real estate all day long, man. What do you want to talk about? You want to hear? I can tell you.
I feel like we covered everything. We covered how good of a dancer you are, how good of a lip sync person. What do you call that? A lip sync performer? How good you are at that? Any other major performances you're planning on getting into?
Well, you may not know, but I'm also a drummer in an 80s hair band, complete with wig.
That's true. I forgot to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, been on stage most of my life. So Tongue in Cheek is the name of that organization. We will we'll be coming back out soon. We can't wait to get back out there, get back out there and rock with everyone.
Tongue in Cheek obviously had some scheduling issues with the coronavirus and everything. I know you guys you typically have your big St. Patrick's Day party. You weren't able to get that in this year, were you?
No, we did it. With that party,
you did do it.
We did. That show happened right as everything was sort of coming to a head. And
that's good.
We debated about whether to do it. A lot of stuff had canceled that weekend. We decided to go forward with it. It was a smaller crowd than usual. That's usually a giant show for us. And, it was fun. It was fun. The funny thing about that, quick anecdote. So our guitar player has the famous toilet paper gun, which can unload a roll of toilet paper into the audience in about 15 seconds. It's a very popular feature. And Undos does not, my brother's chiming in, Undos
I just saw it.
does not want us to use the toilet paper gun at their show on St. Patrick's Day. But I talked to Bo and I said, I think the toilet paper gun this time might be a lot of fun, because at that moment in time, there was a vast shortage of toilet paper around the country.
The great TP panic of 2020.
Yeah, we thought it was classic 80s excess that we would just blast all over. Did very well with what we did.
That it was. All right, a couple more questions before we wrap things up. Your brother Dean just commented, which, by the way, Dean was on the show with us last week. Fantastic guest, good friend of mine. He says only one Connors has ever been on the winning lip sync team.
This is
true. Would you like to respond, Scott?
Well, I mean, he seemed to do well in a backup role, so I'm proud of him for that.
All right, I'll let you guys duke that out between the two of you. And my buddy Matt Welsh, the Chef Matt from Vagabond Kitchen, says, ask Scott for the chocolate chip cookie recipe.
So I got to sample my world famous chocolate chip cookies with Matt at our company Christmas party, and was one of the highest compliments I've ever received as an amateur chef, that Matt Welsh actually liked my cookies. So,
man, that's as good as it gets.
Kind of done now. There's really no reason to make them anymore, right?
One and done. Forget it. Sorry, Matt. I don't think you're getting the recipe.
Oh no, I'll share the recipe with anyone. Hit me up.
Okay. All right. That is Split Screen. Scott, thanks so much for being on the show. And I do want to mention that Scott Connors and Harvey Goodman are on as a sponsor of Split Screen for the month of May. So thank you so much for doing that. We appreciate it. You're letting us continue to do this. And we'll have you on as a guest again soon, I promise.
Hey, we love what you guys are doing. We're very happy to support it.
Much appreciated. Scott Connors from Harvey Goodman Realtor. Check him out at clickharvey.com. That is Split Screen for today. Thanks so much. We'll be back with you again on Thursday with Split Screen and Love OV. See you later.